Hey everybody, welcome to the Quivercast.
You go left, I go right. Man, this wave is out of sight. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Quivercast. Today we have a surfer, shaper, and firefighter from Santa Barbara, but living somewhere in the Central Coast. We got Cooper Boneck.
Boneck, yeah.
Sweet name, though. I like it.
Thanks, German.
Is it German?
Yeah, I guess so.
What's your heritage?
Yeah, it's German, and then my mom's mom is Canadian. She just got her citizenship like 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
She was probably like 80. Yeah.
Your grandmother?
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's Canadian, yeah.
Tell us about growing up in Santa Barbara.
Oh man, we'll get right into it.
Straight into
Dude,
it.
Santa Barbara was gnarly, dude. I know it. Like everyone's like, oh, Santa Barbara, a bunch of rich kids, and they're not entirely wrong. There's definitely
Money.
definitely money and stuff. I feel like growing up in SB, so I grew up on a part of Santa Barbara called the Mesa. That's where I got my name for the surfboard brand.
Okay.
The Mesa, and it was just kind of like right above the harbor, and it's just like that was like blue collar zone. It's sick because it was right next to the beach, but it was a lot of like commercial fishermen and firemen and framers and construction workers. It was like the blue collar badass spot,
Okay.
And that's kind of like the part of town that I grew up, but I say that it was gnarly. Like, I don't know, back then it was cool. It had this like super cool raw punk scene there too. I don't know if you've been up to Santa Barbara recently, have you?
Yeah. I mean, I drive through it all the time. I kind of just cruise through it.
Have you been to like the Funk Zone?
No.
You know what that is?
No.
It's just a couple blocks inland off of Cabrillo. So Cabrillo is the street that runs along the beach by the pier there. So it's kind of
Yes.
along State Street. But it used to be this industrial area that was like super just industrial and dark and just kind of weird. And they had these like little side alley sick punk shows were always going on. And that was like the whole punk skate scene. And the Wilderness
Wow.
Bowl's kind of down there. So the whole like wilderness surf crew and the skate crew is all there and the skate park. So it was very fun growing up there.
Okay. Were you seeing bands and stuff playing there?
Oh yeah, we were seeing tons of like RKL, and I saw Fear there. I'm trying to think
Wow.
of like bigger like punk bands that would come play. TSOL.
Wow.
But they would just play in these like little just hole in the wall spots, and I'd be like 15. I don't know how my mom would just drop me off there. Walking into these alleys, and it's like Liberty spikes and jackets and studs, and everyone's just smoking, and you walk into the place, it just smells like piss and mosh pits and crowd surfing. It
Yeah.
was just cool. Yeah.
What year is this?
That's probably like 2002.
So you're seeing a lot of the old school punk bands, the original punk bands, not
Yeah.
Pennywise and No Effects and those bands.
No. I mean, I've seen like Pennywise a couple times, but no, like we're like real punk.
Yeah, like old school, the punk bands. That's cool. So you grew up in this, is it a skate scene or a surf scene or both?
It was cool. It was both. I learned how to surf when I was probably like 6 or 7, and I grew up a block from the beach, so I just grew up at this place called Ledbetter, which is like a total beginner wave, but it was so cool because it was always like there's always a half a foot wave there.
Okay.
So for kids, it's a little like right hand point that's probably like 1 foot every day.
Nice.
So it's super easy to learn. But yeah, I learned how to surf when I was probably 5. But then I got really into skating, and I skated almost more than I surfed through high school. Because SB, man, it's like the surf gets so good, but we'll go through like long spells of where it's like it's flat.
Yeah, all summer probably.
Yeah, so we're skating. It's just good for you. Like if you're skating pools and bowls and pumping and doing long grinds, it's surfing.
Yeah. Santa Barbara in this scene, so you're more of a skater than a surfer? How would you distinguish yourself? Or a punker?
I spent a lot more time skating than surfing in my high school years, getting into my like young adult years. If it was good, I would surf, but I just found myself engulfed in the skate scene. So going back, when I say like SB was like gnarly, it's the skate scene was pretty like hardcore, and it almost like ate a lot of us up. It was just party and skate and shows, and I just kind of got like carried away into that. I was a pretty good skater, but the whole skate scene was heavy. So then it was when I got out of that, I actually got like sober when I was 21,
Oh
just
wow. Okay.
about when I was like 22, and I just had to like leave skating, and that's when I made like a full comeback over to surf. Just left all of that.
So skating was a lifestyle, and it was kind of a negative lifestyle in your life. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was. It was something that I loved, but it definitely came at a price.
Yeah. Okay. You couldn't separate the two, the partying and the skating.
No, no.
Is it because of the people or because the skating itself? You wanted a
It's
party.
probably the people, man. At Santa
Yeah.
Barbara was just like the weather's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was too easy. It's too easy there just to
Yeah.
get carried away into stuff like that.
Okay. Who are some of the guys you're skating with? Anybody we know?
Shoot. Like the Shorties guys. You remember
Okay.
when like Shorties was like big?
Yep. I totally remember
Um,
that.
so Shorties and the Church of Skating scene was a skate shop there, and I was skating with like Jesse Sylvie a lot, who was on the Shorties team, and he was in the like classic Fulfill the Dream. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was just killer old school skate flicks. But
Okay.
I feel like that was like the prime of skating. Was like those early, like late '90s, early 2000s. It was just super cool.
What were your parents saying when you were an adolescent?
Oh,
Were they stoked on the scene or frowning on it?
no, they were not stoked. They were not stoked. Oh, my parents, they're so good and just so sweet, and they work so hard. And my dad, he just wanted me to be a good in school and an athlete. Like my dad played like football and was a sports guy.
Okay.
So in like high school, he was like, dude, you should play football. And I'm like, no, I want to go skate bowls and
Yeah.
go to punk shows. But
Yeah. No, I get it.
they weren't super stoked on that. Like my dad didn't surf, but he
Okay.
was super cool. He definitely, both my parents were like, hey man, if you want to surf, we'll get you a wetsuit. We'll help you get a board and we'll take you to the beach, So they definitely, supported me early on in that. But once it was the full skate scene, they were not stoked on it.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more urban than surfing.
It's a lot more urban. Yeah, for sure.
So it's a totally different scene. I mean, it transitions, but it doesn't also. They're two different worlds.
Two very different worlds. I think it's really good for kids too. Like right now, my son is 4 years old
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter's 2, and we have a half pipe at our house. I really want them to learn how to skate because I do think there's a lot of really good lessons in it of
Oh,
just,
yeah.
like you fall, you get back up. Like there's always the next trick that you learn. There's fear. You're scared to drop in on the ramp. So you have to overcome that fear and you might fall. You got to get back up. Right when you get that, the next trick you're going to try, you're going to be too scared to try that. So you're constantly overcoming those little fears and stuff. I think there's a lot of good lessons in
I
skating.
agree. Yeah. And I think it is still raw skating, but I think it has tamed quite a bit.
The scene,
The scene.
probably, yeah, I think so too.
From what I saw, from when like 10 years ago. But yeah,
Yeah, I think I would agree.
there's still a handful of guys that'll be sitting at the skate park drinking and smoking and not being good influences. But that's a minority now. I think it was a majority probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, the skating scene, you roll up and everyone's drinking.
Yeah, 40s in
And
the
not like,
bag.
oh man, and they dude, that's where it went like downhill for me, at like a young age. But I was trying to think like you don't see that in the surf scene, at least not in like SB or up here as much. It's
Okay.
more. I don't know how it is down there, but it's like, yeah, you don't just see people getting hammered and going and surfing.
No, absolutely not.
It's weird, yeah. It doesn't. I mean, it's not weird. It's great, but it's weird. The two sports are just so different.
Have you ever tried to surf and be drunk? It's hard. It's almost
Is it?
impossible.
No, see, I haven't.
like to be drunk, like it's hard to surf.
Might knock the edge off though. You might be a little less scared on those heavy days.
Oh yeah, maybe gives you a little liquid courage.
Liquid courage, the false courage.
Yeah, but then you realize you can't stand up, and you got a whole nother problem.
Your legs don't work.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your parents real quick. What scene were they from? Were they from Southern California?
Um, my dad was from Santa Barbara, so
Oh,
he
okay.
grew up there. And then my mom grew up in the San Joaquin Valley.
Okay,
So she was more like riding like motorcycles with her brother
that's
and like
cool.
kind of like farm style. Yeah, yeah, like ranch style. So yeah. No, they're completely different than I am.
They are
Um,
totally, completely different. So in Southern California, I think is a unique place where even in Santa Barbara and Oceanside, they're different people, but they kind of could relate because there's a general theme going by the ocean, a surf scene or a skate scene. There's a Southern California scene
mhm.
where the rest of the United States doesn't have that.
They don't have that. And it's like the surf scene, it was good. So when I wanted to do that, my parents were probably just like, hey, look, here's a bunch of good kids. Because that's the cool thing about the Mesa where I'm from is there was a lot of families there, a lot of kids like my age, and all the
Hmm.
parents would just be like, here's a brown bag lunch for all you kids, like go to the beach.
Yeah.
So we'd all just get on our bikes and grab our surfboards, skateboards, and we just ride down the street to the beach, and our parents just let us live there all day, like get home by when it's dark.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was sweet.
All right. So you're surfing, but you're skating, you're partying. Who are some of the guys you were surfing with? Some legends live there.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, the culture and the history out of SB is just goes way, way back. But I'm trying to think like personally who I was surfing with was mostly like Trevor Gordon. I don't know
Okay.
if you heard of him.
Have
Trevor,
heard of them.
he was like my best friend growing up. We learned how to surf like the same day. I
Oh, wow.
remember like at Leeds. Yeah, it was sick. That's who I've surfed with the most as a kid. He homeschooled and then just surfed and went pro, and he's got the sickest style. I love Trev. And I went to regular school and skated and partied. But now we've gone back and now we're still like such close friends, but now we've like been able to come back and like reconnect as adults. And I'm like, wow, just cool to see what he's doing too. And he's shaping some sick boards and just a good dude. So, it's kind of who I surfed with a lot back then that you or the listeners might know. But
Okay.
there's obviously so many other good guys out of SB, like the Coffin Bros and,
Yeah.
um, Tom and all those guys.
So you see those guys on the regular?
Um,
Bobby Martinez or any of those kind of guys?
Oh, dude. I just remember being a kid and just like rolling up to spots and just seeing Bobby in his full like prime, just freaking killing it. Oh, it's
Okay.
just so fun to watch. And that was cool too. Like growing up at the con, surfing Rincon a bunch, you just see just like world class surfing and
All
the
the time.
pros out all the freaking time.
Yeah. With that being said, there's guys like Davey Smith.
Oh yeah. Davey Smith. Oh yeah, and then his like I went to his surf camp when I was a kid, and then Brandon, his son, I know well through Trevor, and yeah.
So you're seeing like history making surfers firsthand, surfing next to them all the time.
I mean, I wouldn't say all the time, but I definitely like
On the
in the
regular?
water on the regular. You just see like guys like that during the winter when it's good,
Yeah, yeah.
And I've just had like I don't know one of the best days like I've ever had. I went to a local spot that's like not as well known down there, but I rolled up and I was like, oh man, there's one guy out. Like I'm on it. It's head high. It's clean. Like
Wow.
I'm out there. Paddle
Okay.
out. It was Tom Curran.
Yeah.
Like no way. And I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't know what to say. I just sat on the inside of him, just let him do his thing, and it was cool because he would get a wave and you see spray, 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 and then the next wave would come and I would go, and the whole time you're like, oh, don't fucking blow it, dude. This guy's you're there. You're the only two there. He's watching your wave.
Yeah.
Don't fuck this up.
He's the man.
He's the man. Oh yeah. And I remember there was one that like came through that was like I was in the right spot. He was like really deep. He went and he came up and he was like, "Oh, I should have let you go, man. I was too deep." And I'm just like, "Hey, I'm just here. Cool to be out here with you. Yeah.
Everyone wants to be like Tom Curran today, still.
Oh yeah.
And then Davey Smith throwing the first aerials in the world.
Oh yeah, radical.
Yeah. And then you got the old guys, so many to name. Okay, let's talk about the breaks in Santa Barbara. Are you open to talk about them?
I mean, shoot, like the well-known ones. I mean, we
Okay.
obviously have like there's Rincon. I don't know if that's technically, that's carp, but
Nope. You're saying basically you live down the street from Sandspit.
yeah.
Talk about Sandspit. Is it as good as the videos? Because I've never seen it break. I've tried to find it to break. It's just so fickle.
Dude, I don't know what it was, if it was like the sand was different or if just like the weathering patterns back then just hit us with the angles that we needed
Yeah.
more often. Dude, I felt like it was on when I was a kid. Like my whole group of friends, like we just went there. We rode our bikes there and like I felt like there was waves all the time, but we were also shorter. So a 1 foot wave might have been waist high. Maybe that's why it was fun, but yeah, I just felt like it broke more back then in like the early 2000s. But I don't know. That might just be, um,
Your teenage or young
yeah,
years.
but yeah, I don't
You're
know.
looking
But
at life in a different
yeah, we're
lens.
like now it's like, I'm not surfing if it's small. Yeah, I mean, when it's on, it's like, it's insane. I was talking about Trevor Gordon earlier. That's like his zone now, you know? He lives on a boat right there. He's probably spent more time on that wave than most. So at least now when I go back home and it's good, I still see my same friends out in the lineup and can try to coax them for a wave.
As a kid surfing Sandspit, was it hard to get a wave? Was there local respect given? Or was it
um,
dog eat dog, just like Rincon?
it's definitely like there was definitely just like more of like a little crew out there for sure.
Okay.
Trying to think like the older guys, yeah, would probably be like Bobby and like and Tom would be out there. That was kind of when Tom like I remember him riding that little like skimboard board out there even.
Okay.
And like Tom's kids freaking kill it out there.
Yeah.
Remember seeing like Yaden or Yaden out there. I
Okay.
don't know. There's just a whole like the pros and the local guys like up top, and they're sitting in the main pack, a couple flagpoles back, and then everyone else is just fighting a current, not getting shit or getting scraps. So it's
Okay.
kind of one of those things. Like if you're not one of the guys there, it's gonna be hard to get waves.
Rough. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
And longboarders, do they stay away from Sandspit?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
It's a
maybe,
performance board.
oh, dude,
Many.
like maybe if it's like the tide's a little higher and it's small, guys can like ride like longboards there, but it just sucks out. There's backwash, it sucks out. There's like a million guys and it's good. Like if you're riding a longboard out there, you're just a hazard.
Was there localism in your area?
Not really.
Yeah, it didn't
No.
sound like there was.
Definitely not like down south or other spots. Ventura is like that was like more core down there. Like I know those guys have spots that they look out, and that's it's rad. SB didn't really have that as much. They should.
They should.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you went to Rincon, how many miles is it? 8 miles?
Oh
10 miles?
no, yeah, maybe 10. Yeah,
Yeah. Were you treated better up there being a Santa Barbara guy? Or are you just one of the guys in the water?
just pretty much just one of the guys in the water. I mean, I feel like no one gets treated any better at RainCon than anyone else. If you're
And
if you're local, right? Like if you're locals, you're locals, and then there's like there's a handful of guys. I shouldn't say that. There are definitely a handful of guys out there that have been surfing it forever, and it's like you have to respect that, you know?
yeah, yeah.
It's just hard when so many people are there, you know, and on those days that it's good, etiquette is I try to surf with etiquette, but out there, man, it'll get rough and to the point where you're looking around while you're waiting for a wave and you're like, well, I don't know that guy, that guy, that guy, or that guy. Like,
I'm going to go.
I'm gonna go. Like,
Yeah. How many point breaks are in Santa Barbara that can fire on any random good swell that no one knows about? Is there a
that
lot?
no one knows about.
Or
Oh man,
the few people. It's not like in the magazines or anything. Or you don't see it on YouTube, I guess.
I mean,
Are
there's
there some semi-secret spots there that if
you
you're
know,
local, you can get it because you know the swell tide?
oh man, I'm sure there are. Maybe, maybe not. I think C Street and Rincon are probably the only two waves in that area.
And so you're keeping it hush hush. All right, fair enough. Okay, what about up north? Places that are not secret. You know, you got right below Refugio.
Right before Fujio. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't think of the name either. Funny. I'll have to look that one up. It's so funny because they're like
That one
they're
never
like
breaks, right?
no, that one never breaks. And there's like they're well known spots. I'm still just not going to be the one to say it. It's
Okay.
so funny.
All right. Okay, let me ask you this then. Does Gaviota ever break?
Where's Gaviota?
You know where.
No, just um. Oh, dude, of course,
I've never
and
seen it.
everyone
At the
knows the
pier?
ranches up there.
The
Oh, at
ranch
the
is around the
pier?
corner. Yeah. No.
No, the pier.
And
That's just a.
this is inside information, but what about Refugio? Or Refugio, however you want to call it. It's a perfect 1 foot wave.
It's a good little 1 foot
But there's no
little
swell.
longboard wave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It never
it's
gets
a
like super
beautiful
high, huh?
beach,
Yeah, beautiful campground.
beautiful campground, like awesome. And it's like it's always cool because sometimes we'll roll up there with the kids and I'll paddle my son out on like a log, and there's just always like cool groups of older guys. It's like their retirement club, and
Yeah.
they're just there having fun. And I don't know, it's just a mellow scene. It looks like you could be like in a different country almost, you know?
So Santa Barbara basically gets a lot less wind, has point breaks up and down all around that we don't know
Well,
about.
it like freaking faces south, you know, and then you got the
And you got
islands.
the island
It's
blockage.
just,
It just cuts it off. But
yeah.
so the scene overall, you glad you grew up in Santa Barbara?
Oh yeah. I loved it. And I made a lot of really good friends there. Yeah, I'm like really proud of being from there.
When did you move up to the Central Coast where you live now? How long ago?
It was probably like 12 years ago, I think.
Oh, okay. So you've been
Yeah,
there for a little bit.
yeah, I came up in 2012, and I actually came up because well, I spent a year. I worked on at Vandenberg Air Force Base doing heavy demolitions, taking down launch pads up there. That was a
Oh, okay.
freaking super sick job, like crazy.
Like blowing shit up?
No, because you weren't allowed to use explosives, but like I got introduced and taught like to use an acetylene torch, and like we took down this like old historic launch pad called Slick 4. It was like a 30-story launch pad with a 23-story umbilical cord, and that's where the rockets would go and then freaking launch out of there.
Oh, wow.
So we had to take that thing all the way down. So everything that was inside these like old control panels and everything, you're cutting them out with a acetylene torch and you're shoving them out the sidewall. Boom, like 30 floors down, they're breaking, and then guys come in with big excavators and are pulling all that stuff out. And it was just a wild job. Like I remember being like pretty new on a torch and getting sent out to clear out an elevator shaft. I'd have to straddle the I-beams and like shimmy myself out to go cut out these beams. And you'd
No.
like shimmy out, burn a hole, clip in, shimmy out some more, burn a hole, clip in. And it's like 30 stories down. And I'm looking in
Wow.
this elevator shaft, just cutting steel, watching it fall. Bam. It was just like,
No way.
it was wild. It was like definitely like adrenaline, and then working with the cranes and rigging, and they're pulling out, one floor at a time. I don't know. It was just cool.
Did you feel endangered? Was it like some sketchy situations?
Oh, dude, those guys were gnarly. They did not care. They were like, "Hey, man, you're gonna go do this." Salty old dudes. And I was like 22, and just
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll go do it. It looks sketchy, but if you say so. Um, oh yeah, and then climbing through tunnels down there because there's tunnels that I don't know how much power all the rockets, so I'd get sent down into tunnels, clipping copper wire, and I don't know. It was a cool job coming from not having, like I worked at a coffee shop before that.
So no training or nothing.
No, just all on the
On-job
job.
training.
Yeah, it was cool. But I was up there for like a year, so we surfed like that zone. And then I moved up to Central Coast where I'm at now to get the fire job.
On Vandenberg, is there any secret breaks there? Are you allowed to surf there, or are they all closed up?
I was always told like you could somehow join like a surf club. You could
Hmm.
join a surf club there. I never did. I was only there for a year. Yeah. It was hard to get base access, I think, for me there too. There's definitely waves. Like I remember being on the top of that launch pad
Oh,
in the
yeah, you can see
winter
it
and
all.
just being like, you can see it all. And you're like, that is a freaking massive right. That is a massive left over there.
No
And
way.
it's just like, oh yeah, there's crazy, crazy waves out there.
Just
There's
like
no one
teasing
out
you.
there. Oh, but dude, it was be so big, so sharky, so cold, like no
Yeah.
one ever out. So it's like even if you had access, I'm like that would be a gnarly spot to go just to explore.
So were you surfing Halama?
Halam a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was there,
And it's kind of gnarly at Halama, too. It's cold. It's big. It's lonely. It
it's
can get
low,
lonely.
it's lonely. I don't know if you follow like Doc Dormier or whatever
No.
who tags the great white sharks.
Mm,
And
no.
it shows you where they're pinging. Oh, I got to delete that app, dude, because you don't want to know where they are. Oh,
Are they right there, Halama? Like tarantulas or whatever?
oh, oh, they just live there. And there's a couple like big ones that just live like Gaviota, like right there at like Point Conception, where you're just
No
because a
way.
lot of them migrate,
Yep.
and then a couple of them just don't. They're just big bombers that they just stay there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Why?
I
There's
mean, we all
food.
know that we like know that they're there, but maybe I should just delete the app,
Yeah. It's not, if it's going to freak you out. Because I feel like where you live now, it's way sharkier. Maybe that's just my feelings.
Nah, it is for sure sharkier than SB.
It's pleasant. Where you live now, I feel it's a lot more raw.
It's definitely a lot more raw. It's more exposed because anything under like 300 degrees, like SB doesn't get.
Yeah.
Whereas like you start going more north on the north side of Point Conception, and then it's like it just catcher's mitt, it just grabs everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we also have a lot more wind too, so just like a lot more of all the elements up there.
Right. But you can also find there's coves and
Oh yeah,
wind blocking natural things.
it's hard though. You gotta work. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not.
100%. Probably got
Yeah, it's definitely. It's not like down south where you're just like driving along the road and you know spot X, Y, and Z, and that's your little zone. And that's where you go. Like you definitely have to put in work and find stuff up here, and a lot of days of driving and getting skunked and
Are you exploring while you're living up there?
yeah. And my wife, she grew up in Ventura. She surfs too.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know
And
that.
she's really good about like, hey, let's take a day trip up to here. We're going up to like Big Sur. We'll go up to Santa Cruz, or we just like to go explore, just have
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
What's the best wave in Big Sur? Sand Dollar Beach? I said it, you didn't say it.
Sand Dollar. Well, yeah, we'll stick with Sand Dollar.
Is that
Sand Dollar.
I surfed there before. It's fun.
It does. Oh no, no, it definitely gets fun. Yeah, it's just it's a trip. Is how once you get in that whole zone, like there's no point breaks. Like once you leave SB,
Yeah.
like geographically, it's wild. It's how they just end there.
Yeah. Well, there's some on the ranch. So I guess that's Santa Barbara is too. Still.
Yeah.
So you get up there. At what point did you decide you want to become a shaper? How'd that happen?
Oh man, it's like kind of almost a fluke. At the time, I was working for the Arroyo Grande Hot Shots, and like five of us lived in the same house. I basically like surfed my whole life, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my friends who had just started surfing like a year before, I got home and he had shaped a board. He was like,
Okay.
check this thing out. I looked at it and like, holy fuck, dude, that thing actually looks like a surfboard. Like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm just competitive too. And I was like, dude, if you could do it, I
Yeah.
for sure could do it. We had a place in town called The Craft, and they sold like US blanks and fiberglass and all the stuff that you need to shape boards,
Okay.
shape and glass. So that was kind of my first hack at it. But growing up, friend of mine's dad was a shaper
Okay.
in NSB.
What
So that
what's
really
his
was my
name?
first. His name was John Tustin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he work for somebody, or have he shaped under his own label, or did he
He
have a
shaped
label?
under, yeah, he shaped under Tustin.
Okay.
And
I'm
he
not
made
familiar with
like
him. That's
he
cool though.
was like a local dude, like blue collar.
Yeah.
He really liked shaping like old like brewer style guns and surfing like big waves.
All right.
That was probably the first introduction to it because he had a shaping room at the house. So we'd always want to go watch him, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just knew that like that was the sacred, like cool spot of the house that we wanted to always go watch him work.
You had a lot, like a fascination with it or something early on.
I had a fascination with it early on, and then surfing. I always liked to surf weird boards and just try a bit of everything. And then getting weird boards from Trevor, and I say weird because he was like riding for Lovelace and stuff, and he had like ASIMs and all these other things. So I got a couple boards from him, and I just thought the design of boards were cool. So then when I had the opportunity to shape a board, and then when I did, it was looking back, it was a pile of shit. But I had so much fun
In the process, you mean?
in the process. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, it was like I think I got a 510 RP
Mm-hmm.
and shaped the whole thing with a freaking Sureform and a block.
Okay.
Like that's it. Like no planer, just the most crude, the roughest. Oh, the outline was terrible, but I had a blast. And I was like, whoa, this is possible. Like we can just go over here and buy blanks and then
Mm-hmm.
come back here and hack at them until
Okay.
they look like surfboards. It was the competitive drive of like, fuck, I think I could do a better one than that, you
Okay.
know? And then it just kind of like snowballs.
You're out doing your last shape.
Yeah, like, always trying to outdo the last one.
Okay.
Still,
Yeah. You got to be competitive with yourself, I guess, right?
yeah, and like growing up surfing, it's like you know what a good board looks like. You know what a good board feels like.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I had this in my head of like, no, like this isn't right. They need to look like Channel Islands. Like Channel Islands like
Yes.
is the
Right.
high performance, like they're the standard.
For the world.
For the world, it's like
Yeah. Not
if
just
you
Santa Barbara, for the world.
if you're just trying to shape a high performance shortboard and it don't look anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like you know what they're supposed to look and feel and surf like, and if it's not that, then you have work to do, you know?
So actually, one question I didn't ask you, which comes in perfect this time, is what was your first new board? Maybe your first custom. Do you remember who shaped it?
Dang, I think my first board was like maybe a 7 something like single fin glass on. I think it was a Bradbury.
Oh, okay.
And that was like garage sale, you know, garage
Yeah,
sale
of course.
board that
That's how you
my
get your first board always.
yeah, and my dad's like, here you go, man. It's probably like $5. From there, I got and I still have this one, which is rad. It's a little 5.7 CI
Mm,
glass on fins. But I don't remember. I'm trying to think. My first custom actually was from John Tustin,
okay.
who I
That's
mentioned
it. Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. Your buddy's dad.
Yep. He
Okay,
shipped me
cool.
my first custom.
Going back to that, do you still have that Bradbury? Or is it long gone?
No, I'm so bummed that I don't too.
Yeah, I think Josh Palmer is making a new movie on him,
Hmm.
on Bradbury.
There's a couple old boards that I had, some like garage sale finds that I really wish that I still had, and that was definitely one of them.
Yeah. All right. So we'll phase back into the future. So you start shaping boards. Does it become a passion?
Yeah, it was a passion like right from the start. I was never good at school. Like I
Mm-hmm.
hated school. I liked skating and I liked surfing. And that was like when I shaped that board and
Mm-hmm.
then I started to do more, I was hooked. I don't even know the word, but it made me feel like it just captivated me. It kept my attention. I'm like ADD, right? I'm
Okay.
bouncing all over the place at all times. But then like when I got into trying to shape boards, it was like I was focused and I just like put on some music and I was just like, I had so much fun. And you get into that, like everyone says like, oh, you know, you get into flow state or whatever, but it's true. And like, that's how I still get. And I think that's partly why I like it so much. It just goes somewhere else. You can go somewhere else. And at the end of it, you've got this bitchin' fucking board. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like time warp.
You're in like a different dimension, like almost in a different zone.
Oh, yeah, and I love it. It's
Yeah. Does surfing give you as much passion as shaping?
it does sometimes.
Mm.
It definitely like did, but like I've heard other people describe it too, like, oh, shaping kind of scratches that same itch.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it definitely like does. I'm being a lot more selective now too, because if the surf isn't great and I need to be aware of like how I'm spending my time, I'm probably going to choose to shape if the
Okay.
surf isn't great, which is like, I don't know if that's good. I should force myself to surf more, when it's not good. But when you have customers, like I want to get them their boards quick and I want to be, you know, I think about them, so it's hard for me to
Yeah, I
fuck
get that.
off and go surf when I got shit to do.
Right. Did your surfing change when you started shaping your own boards?
100%.
Okay. How so?
Yeah. I started writing different stuff and I was thinking about this actually like today. So I rode my thruster my first session and then I went and I rode an egg, like a 610 speed egg,
Mm-hmm.
the second session. And I would have never ridden egg, I would think like, oh, that's kind of like a hipster fun board. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, but when people were asking for them, then I got into that design, like, well, what is it about this design that all these people like? So then figuring out how to shape them and then shaping them for people and then having them be like, dude, that is the most fun board. Then after a few of them, I'm like, well, shoot, I need to like try this and see what it's all about. So anyway, it definitely affected my surfing by just trying boards that I usually wouldn't. And that just unlocks everything.
How many boards do you have in your personal quiver that you ride? And does it change a lot?
It changes all the time.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
selling your used ones?
Yeah, it's funny. There's like a crew of like local kids that just know that they can like come to my house and be like, "What do you got, man?"
Okay.
And they can just pick through my boards, and I give them deals on the used stuff, and then I'll shape myself a new
Yeah.
board. But I got a lot, man. I think I just sold maybe 8, and I probably still have at least 12.
That you put on your own feet.
Yeah, like those are for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I like 20
Perfect.
boards.
Well, you're shaping them yourself, so the price is way better.
And you got to stay curious. Yeah, the price is better, but it's like that's an expensive hobby,
100%.
And it's dangerous when you're staring at a blank and you can turn it into whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's dangerous.
When you're buying these different blanks, already have something in mind? Because blanks come in different, say, shapes also.
Oh yeah,
Like a
you have
rocker,
to.
tail rocker. And
Yeah, you have to have an idea.
when you're buying that blank.
When you're buying the blank, yeah, you got to know what you're trying to shape because you don't want to. You're not going to shape a 5'5" fish out of a
Right.
7-foot blank, or
Of course.
like you were saying, like depending on what style board you're going to shape, you might need to tweak the rockers and the blanks when you order them.
Mm-hmm.
Different densities, different stringers. So there's a lot to consider. Like when someone orders a board, the first thing I do is I go, okay, what do I need to do as far as the blank? And do we need to customize this? So it definitely is a factor.
Okay.
It's the first thing you can consider.
So back to your personal surfing and your personal quiver. Do you have a little bit of everything, or do you have like mostly thruster? Or you got mostly like more fishes? Because I've seen your boards, and the boards are super attractive.
Oh, thank you.
They're,
Appreciate
they're, they're
that.
beautiful. So you're doing a great job.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Man, I was surfing fish like almost strictly for like a few years just because like, dude, that's a timeless fun design. And like you can shape them with a couple little tweaks to where like you can surf a fish in almost freaking anything, especially for
Yeah.
like around here. Now I'm surfing a lot because I do have a couple like team riders and my friends, and I shape a lot of high performance shortboards.
Yep, I see that.
And they got me back on them, and I'm super stoked. There's nothing like a good thruster too.
Okay.
So I just try to ride everything, but sometimes it can make it a little hard when like you're gonna go spend a couple days somewhere and you ride like you go from a fish to a thruster to a twin
It's
fin
hard.
egg to it's different,
hard. Yeah.
So
Totally different approaches to waves.
Yeah, and the only like downside to that is like sometimes it takes me like a couple, for sure, a few waves when I switch from a board to like you might blow it for sure. You might cook a
100%.
couple.
Yeah, it happens. Luckily, where you live, there's probably a few extra waves around, so that's good.
Yeah. Uh,
It's not that crowded Rincon where one wave might be, fuck, you blow one wave there, you're screwed, kind of.
you blow one, you might as well just, yeah, you're going home. Just go
Yeah,
home.
yeah, it's rough. It's a rough Southern California world down here in some spots. All right, so you get these boards. At first, how much are you shaping? Like, you go into it once every couple months. You're shaping a board, or are you going full blast? Like you're just like, oh, I'm in love with this. I'm gonna.
Oh, it was like off to the races. I like couldn't get enough because after the first few, it was like, these are shit and I know they're shit and I want them to be good. Let's do this. Let's figure out how we're going to start shaping some good boards. And it was super fun. And it was like the challenge too. So, and luckily I had a lot of really good friends that were like, hey man, I will get a board off you, you know? So I got some practice up front on friends that I still have to call and be like, hey, thank you so much for taking a risk on me and probably getting a couple of really bad boards. Like I owe those guys a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Were you giving them probably? I'm guessing the bro deal though, where they were paying, or were you charging?
Oh, they weren't paying shit. It was like, dude, I just wanted to shape. It's like, hey man, if you pay for the blank
Right.
and your last job, dude, like I just want to practice. I just
Okay.
want to shape. I just want to learn I just want to get better, you know? So no,
Yeah,
I was just doing stuff for cost.
that's awesome. That's
Mhm.
how you got to do it, though, right?
You had to do it and it was tough because I didn't really like have anyone up here because we're kind of isolated. I didn't have anyone who was like, hey, here's how you hold a blank lane here's how you foil a blank, you know? So
Yeah.
I kind of just watched and tried to find whatever info I could. And I just watched do you know Matt Kinoshita from Kazuma? He
Is that the
shapes
guy
in
that does that on
Maui.
YouTube or something?
Yeah, so he has a ton of stuff and he's a rad shaper in Maui. Dude, I just watched every single post that he did, every single video he had. I watched him 1,000 times. I pressed pause, like, how's he holding the planter? Okay, how did he just do that? How did he just do that? And did that until I got better. I would buy like blend blanks, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that were like half price.
Yep.
And I would just practice. I would go buy like 10 of them and I'd mow it down. I heard like Corey Graham say that his dad would have him like mow blanks until they were all gone, you know? So then I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I would try to do that. Or I try to just like be like this blank and I would just focus on planing rail bands and I practiced a lot. I'm getting at, I think.
Not trying to actually shape a board, just getting used to the foam. That's what I'm
Just
hearing.
getting used to the foam. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I called it like I would just go burn blanks. I'd burn them. I'd
Literally.
trash them. Yeah. And I would call them like sacrifice some dust to the foam gods. And I would just go in the shed and just annihilate blanks.
Wow. So where do you get your inspiration for the boards you're shaping today? Because you come from so many different places. You understand what I'm saying? You're not the Channel Islands guy. You're not Al Merrick or his son. They stay in this one realm. You're kind of a bit here and a bit there,
A bit
which
here
works.
and it does work. It's super fun. And
Did I say it wrong?
no. I mean, I was thinking like those guys, to their credit, they do a great job of like trying to shape a bit of everything too. But to
Well,
answer
but
your,
I mean, you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, I
Mostly
guess they,
thrusters and high performance boards.
yeah, I
And then you
think
got Ryan Lovelace, the other guy, completely other side of the spectrum.
completely on the other side. Yeah,
Yeah.
shaping like super rad stuff on that side.
Right. And you're kind of blended both worlds, I feel.
That's cool that you see that because that's kind of how I want to be. I shape what I will ride, you know, and I
Okay.
can appreciate riding eggs. Like, I think now I would have like poo-pooed those things and been like, not like, I don't want to touch a mid-length.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think that's probably like if I had one choice, you drop me off on an island and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you can bring one board, like I'm bringing that probably. Because it just covers so many bases.
Right. 100%.
So I try to shape what I want to ride or what I would ride. because I know how they should feel, you know? I'm not the hole guy because I don't ride holes. I don't know how to shape holes because I don't ride those. So
Okay.
I can't be a good source of feedback on those things, but I know how to ride a thruster, eggs. I like to longboard. Yeah, just try to shape a bit of everything. And luckily, I know enough people that if, I can pull information from them. Like I've got some friends that are really good longboarders. So when it's time to make some nose riders, I'm like, hey man, help me out here. What do I want to sprinkle in here and there? And
Yeah, they're both surfboards, but they're in completely different worlds.
way different.
Yeah. Because you brought longboard up. You got some of these companies that maybe have kept the name, but they have relatively great shapers, like the Hobie guys.
Oh
But
yeah.
but their specialty is longboards.
Hmm.
Kind of old school but modern longboards.
Yeah.
It's all kind of the same, but it's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah, so the guys that are surfing Doheny aren't the same guys surfing blacks probably.
No.
But to be able to shape and kind of be able to get all those under one house,
It's tricky, but that's also what's fun. It's like at the
100%, I
end
bet.
at the end of the day, it's like I'm not trying to be a big brand. Like I'm a fireman. I'm a
Yeah.
dad. I'm just like a surfer, and I've been shaping boards, and I love it, and I plan to do it as long as I can. But I'm not trying to like take over the world or anything. I want to be just kind of like your blue collar guy, like technician that you can call and be like, hey, dude, like I want a board for this.
Okay.
Can you shape me a custom board for this style wave? And I weigh, I'm this tall. I weigh this much. This is my skill level. What do you think? So I just want to be like someone that surfers can go to and get a custom good board made.
Any surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, I love that. That's great. And your boards are, yeah, like I said, once again, I need to get one of your boards because I have something in mind. I think you do fabulous.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Right on. So how many boards have you shaped? Do you keep a running number? Or do you not?
I wish I did. It was,
You don't.
no, I should have.
Take a guess.
Probably like right at like a G, probably right at like a
That's a
1,000.
lot of boards. Yeah. Okay.
If I were to guess, it was like, yeah, maybe like 1,000.
Okay.
It's hard, man.
Yeah. No, 100%.
That's
That's a lot of boards.
it's a lot of boards. Maybe like 125 a year, but then like for like 3 years, then it was like COVID, which is right after. Like I feel like I could make a decent board right before COVID hit, which was like
Okay.
crazy, because
Yeah.
then it was like I don't know how many boards I was doing, but it was a lot because I think too, I was doing them at a better price because you have to. It's like, hey, I'm not these guys, I'm
Yeah.
not these established guys. Like I'm still cutting my teeth, if you take a shot on one of my boards, like I appreciate that and I'll give you a deal,
There you go.
I was getting a lot of orders for like a few years
What's the
and I still
feedback?
am.
What was your feedback you were getting?
Dude, it was crazy because there was like, once I got past the initial, like fucked bad boards,
Mm-hmm.
you're starting to like wrap your head around. I'm still wrapping my head around stuff, and I'm sure I'll look back in next year and think of myself as a scrub right now.
I'm glad you brought that up. So let me ask you this. How important in today's world with the dying shaper and going to machines, how important that we keep guys around like you? Because you're a dying breed.
Oh man. I don't know if it's like, I mean, it's important to me, but I don't know like if the next person thinks it's important.
Yeah,
But
you're true. That's true. But let's look at history. Is it important to keep guys around that knows how to hand shape?
for sure, I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a lot of yours where you've had on other shapers.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the Rusty one this week and hearing those guys talk about, hand shaping versus machine shaping and how like Rusty was saying, he was like, he thinks like everyone should at least know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
I agree, but like, who am I, to say anything about that? But It's important to me because if a computer goes down or your machine goes down and you don't know how to hand shape, what are you gonna freaking do? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Where it's like if you give me a planer, a block, and a blank, like I'll get you a good board.
There you go.
So I don't know. In that sense, I think it's really important. And just tradition. It's like there's a lot of history and culture and heritage and tradition in surfing that I think there's always going to be a need and a want for that. Like me, right? Like if I didn't shape, I'm wanting a hand shaped board from someone. I'm not going to go buy a board off the rack, most
Okay.
likely.
Okay.
I would want to get it from like someone like a freaking Stu Henson
Hmm.
or, like a blue collar freaking man's man shaper.
But once again, they are dying. They're a dying
Yeah.
breed. If you talk to any of these guys now, they can't find someone to go work in the shaping bay.
Yeah. It's even harder to probably find guys to laminate and sand.
Right. Are you doing all that? Are you doing start to finish? Or are you just strictly doing the shaping and sending it off?
Shaping.
Okay.
Yeah. My friend Corey, he's my laminator and like he's just killer. And seriously, like I focus and try to do as good as I can and always get better at the shaping aspect. There's so much more to that than the boards. Like the laminations that I get from him, like he's so good at what he does. He's like a huge reason why I am even doing what I'm doing. Him and his dad kind of like took me under their wing, and his dad shapes and lives down south, Craig Richmond.
Okay.
And after like a few boards, he was like, "Hey man, those don't look like complete shit. You should keep going.
Mm.
Keep shaping. They're
Yeah.
not bad. Keep going." So they were like really encouraging, and
Encouraging. Yeah,
and
that's rad.
and Corey was like he glassed, but he was kind of like in his like formidable glassing years. So then we kind of pushed each other skill wise, and I'd be like, "Hey dude, can we like try doing this on the lambs?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, can you try to fucking shape your fucking hard edges better?" You we just talk shit to each other
Okay.
and have fun and progress and push each other, and it's nice to have that relationship. I'm sure he wishes I lived farther away from his shop because I can come in there and
Yep.
micromanage shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's nice to have him because I'm like, hey, like, can we go a little more opaque on this, and then we'll like throw a little bit of this in there? And he's like, well, how do you think we should do that? We can have dialogue and talk and like get boards to look exactly how I want them to look, which is probably a little frustrating for him, probably, but but it's cool.
Have you tried to laminate or glass your own boards ever?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I've
Would
cloud
you?
glass a couple. I realized that it's fucking hard, man. And I used to sand for Corey, so when I was starting to shape,
Oh, gotcha.
I'd be like, okay, I just want to work in your shop. Like, what can I do here? And he'd be like, well, you could start out finning. So then he'd show me how to like route fin boxes too. So in between boards, because I was doing seasonal firefighting at the time. So I was like laid off during the
Yeah. Yeah.
winters, some
Yeah.
shaping, and I need some extra cash too. So I worked at a shop and I would route fins and set fins, and then I started to sand. So yeah, so I know other aspects, which is nice too, but definitely not a seasoned laminator.
Okay. So how important is sanding and putting the fins in the right place? I know they're two
Oh,
separate questions, but
it's insane. Like you can shape a board perfectly, right?
mm-hmm.
And then if the fin boxes get set wrong in any way, if the toe is off, if the cant is off, you can blow it.
Mm.
And then when it comes to sanding, maybe they take that hard edge in front of the fins just like too far back by a freaking inch or an inch and a half.
Okay.
And now you've got a board that surfs completely different. So like all of that, me being so close to Corey and then Andrew who sands, I like make a little mark on all my boards like, hey, this is where I want my hard edges to start to fade in and transition from that soft or from that tuck to a hard edge.
Okay.
So I can like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
to answer your question, it's super important. Any
Okay.
step along the way, boards can get ruined. So having like a cohesive crew that knows how everything should be done and you have that working relationship, I feel like that helps you get consistently better boards.
There you go. So you do have some merchandise you sell, but also NVS has made your own fin. How'd you come up with that?
Oh man, envious. Those guys are so rad. So I was down at the boardroom show a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and I had talked to Leif. I just heard like really good things about their fins. So then I hit him up one day because I wanted to have my own fin made because I was making so many twin fins at the time that I'm thinking like, man, I keep referring all these other guys' fins on all my boards. Like, here's a
Mm,
board for me. You should go buy this guy's fin. You should go buy this guy's fin. And then it was like, well, semi-business minded. Like, I should just have my own fin here, you know?
yeah.
There's a couple different fins that I liked and just kind of like took pieces of a couple different fins that I liked and tried a few times and came out with a fin that I thought was really good. And those guys like knocked it out of the park.
Well, how hard was it to get the fins the right size and cant and all that other stuff that I really don't understand, to be honest with you? It seems like a whole world. Just with fins.
Yeah, really, those guys, like, so I know the cant that I wanted. I know the base length that I wanted. I know
Okay.
the height. So I knew the dimensions of the fin that I wanted. And then I left it up to them. I was like, what do you think we should do for the foil? You know,
Hmm.
what seems to be the standard on this, you know? And then we just added a little bit more cant. I like a little bit more cant on my twins. So after bouncing a few ideas and testing out some fins, you just work on them until you get them to a point where you're like, yeah, this is it. It's money.
Cool.
And they're super easy to work with. Those
Yeah.
guys are cool. So anyone listening, if you're wanting to get fins made, like hit those guys up. They're awesome.
Yeah. Every time you go to the boardroom, the show area is getting bigger and bigger. And a lot of
Yeah,
people are really trusting those guys.
super cool to see. Yeah, they're awesome.
So obviously you're more of a future guy versus the FCS then.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, I would say probably like 75% of my boards were futures growing up. But then from a building standpoint, I
Hmm.
just think that they're, especially for twins,
Hmm.
I think they're a better fin box,
Fair enough.
a better design.
So you have a new website up.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Obviously, why you did it, people can find you. In today's world, you got to have a website, right?
Yeah, you got to have a website. You got to do the Instagram. Yeah, it's mesasurfboards.com. Yeah, you can kind of like go through, see what models that I offer. That's just a good place to start, you know? And then I've got a new thing that I added. I think it's a button that just says in stock. So then you can see like what shirts I have in stock, what hats, what boards even. So in between orders, I'll shape some stock boards and then take pictures of them and you can see what I got in stock and I can ship them pretty much anywhere in the world.
Yeah. And you do a great job on your Instagram, by the way, of describing the board you just shaped and kind of, I think you do a great job.
Awesome, thank you. Try to keep it just natural, I guess.
If you could have, let's say, a couple days, you could collab with somebody, what shaper would you work with? Like two shapers, like you and another shaper,
Whoa.
like a dream session, I guess.
Oh shit. Yeah, it would so depend on what board we were gonna do. You know,
Okay.
like what style are we after? Dang. I think it would be fun to shape with Christensen. Because he too, that guy shapes anything.
He does.
He shapes anything well. John Simon, I really like him too. He's like a young dude doing a bunch of cool, fun stuff. Andrini, I might meet up with him next month.
Oh, really?
Mark
Okay.
Andrini, and do
Okay.
some shaping with him. So I'm like
So this might actually
starstruck.
happen.
That might actually happen. I'm super stoked. Yeah, he emailed me back to today and was like, yeah, let's make it happen in January. So hopefully that goes down, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that would be cool because like there's so much stuff to learn still.
You have your boards in a couple shops too, right?
I do. So the Beach House, man, thank you. The Beach House, they are a shop in Santa Barbara, right there on State Street by the pier. Beach House, those guys have been so like incredibly good to me and like encouraging, and they sold boards of mine like when I probably shouldn't have been selling boards, you know, but they had faith, but they had faith in me, you know, and they've
There you
really
go.
just been so good to me. Yeah, just really encouraging. So those guys, like, I love that shop. Grayson, Roger, all the guys there, so good. And that's like the main place where I sell most of my boards from in SB.
Okay.
So if you're ever in town, anyone, stop by there. And then CCS in Slow, that's another shop. Scott over there is rad, and those guys carry my boards too. And that's kind of it for now.
That's cool though.
Yeah, I'd like to get in some other shops, but honestly, like customs or what I'm after, and it gets expensive to just float boards now to shops if they're not buying them up front, you know?
Okay. Is that how that works? Where you got to give them the
Yeah,
boards and they work off commission, or I don't know how that works. They sell them and then you get the
yeah.
money.
Most of the time, like for me at least, it's on consignment. You know, I'm
Consignment.
sure
That's
if
the
you
word I'm
were like
looking
a
for.
big, bigger brand or whatever, they might be buying your stuff. But for me, I'm still cutting my teeth trying to prove myself. So I gotta do what I gotta do.
Okay. So you're shaping for a shop. Who do you have in mind? Is it the middle-aged guy? Is it the
Oh,
20-year-old kid?
for like
A
a
stock
stock board.
boards. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I shape them for me
Okay, there you go.
in case I ever need a backup board. So they're always in my dimensions.
All right, there you go.
No, not exactly, but I mean, I'm 5'11", 180, you
Yeah.
know? So when you're shaping stock boards, it's like who's
That seems
got
like the hardest part.
it's hard because who's got the money? Like the young kids, like I'm not going to shape Grom boards because it's
Yeah.
probably going to sit for a while. Those should be custom.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the high performance short boards, like I leave that to like CI and those guys unless you want to hit me up.
Yeah. And
Then
work
I'm
with you.
gladly, yeah, and work with you. Then I'll gladly shape those boards. So then what I usually have in stock is like the eggs and more like alternative shapes.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, it's more, yeah, for probably the person between like 30 and 40 who's like a decent surfer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this. We talked about future and FCS. So let's go backwards a little bit. Glass on fins. You ever do glass on fins, and what do you think of them?
I do glass on fins
You do. Okay.
sometimes. Yeah, if asked for them. I don't do stock boards or glass on fins. I like them, but it's just like I think I'm from a generation that's just slightly after that. Like we all want to
Yes,
be able
100%.
to. Like I'll speak for myself. I like switching out fins, and I
Yeah.
travel, and it's like the same reason everyone is getting
Yeah.
removable fins. You know?
Do you ever tell a customer, get these 3 sets of fins for this board?
Oh
So
yeah.
in different conditions, you can switch them up. You have a brand new board basically every time you switch the fins up.
Fins are so huge,
Yeah.
and like especially with twin fins, because if the shaper has an idea in mind and he places your fins at, say it's like 7 3/4 or 8 inches up from the tail, and you throw in a big old fat keel fin that hangs 2.5 inches past the box,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to ride a lot different than if he were to put some uprights in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like imperative that I think it's really important because most consumers like don't know, like they can't look at fin placement and be like, oh, this was meant for an upright or a hybrid upright fin. And everyone has keels in mind who's like transitioning over to a twin fin. So every time everyone just slams in a big old set of keels and maybe their board rides like shit, It's good to talk to someone who knows about that, or if you're getting accustomed, the shaper is like, hey man, you're going to want to get these specific fins or at least start there. And
Yeah.
if you
Start
want
there. I
to
like that.
start there, if you want a more loose and pivoty, go to an upright. If you want a little bit more hold and stiffen it up a bit, then go with the fin that has a wider base. There's just
Okay.
a lot to it.
Your ultimate dream, would it be to be a shaper or a firefighter? Like, what was your ultimate life dream?
I'm fucking living it, dude.
You're living the dream?
Yeah,
Young family with wife surfs, which is
dude.
awesome.
I'm like the most lucky, like how I even got here, like my younger years, I like almost went down the path of like no return, and then
Mm.
getting sober was like the second chance at like life. And I feel really lucky to be able to do what I do now. Have a family.
Was it a hard process getting sober?
Yeah, for
Really?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. and my aunt helped me out a lot.
Okay.
So my aunt, she helped me get sober, and I fucking love her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a journey, and just being able to basically start fresh and like be like, what do I want to do with my life? I think I want to do fire. It sounded fun, exciting. And like I told you earlier, I was never a scholastic, like school guy, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This sounds like an interesting job. Sounds something that would keep me on my toes and it sounds fun. So to be able to get into that from where I was, so many good friends and have so many relationships through fire has just been fucking crazy. The fire community is huge and they're just the best group of folks to be able to do that. That's how I met my wife. Fuck, I didn't even get to talk about my wife. And she's like, we met both working on the Arroyo Grande hot shots and she's a fucking beast. She
Oh, okay.
crushed us all. She's like a gnarly ultra marathon runner. She just annihilated us.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
and that's where we met. And now to think like got into shaping. We have 2 kids. We're living up here, just doing this is
Yeah.
blessing, man. It's insane.
Do you like it up there? Are you going to stay there forever, or is it just?
We do. We love it up here. We talk about going back to Ventura just because our family's there, like in
Mhm.
SB and Ventura. There's just something about the pace of life up here that's just slower. It's
Yeah, it's
mellow,
nice.
man. Like, dude, I might not get on a freeway for like weeks.
That's so awesome.
Like there's
Yeah.
I don't have traffic.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with anyone. I go work at the station with the guys and do our thing there, and I come home and we get to surf, and our house is cool, and shaping rooms here at the house. My glasser's 5 minutes away. It's kind of a dream.
How are the kids? Are they going to be ocean people, you think, or does it
Oh,
matter?
that's a good question, and it's a concern for us.
Oh, that's what I'm not wondering. Does it matter?
It
If they
does
want to play
matter.
baseball or football like your dad did and say, what's this
Yeah,
surfing shit?
yeah. I mean, dude, it's not like, hey, jump in the ocean with your trunks and
No, it's
let's
fucking
let's
freezing every
dude, it's
day.
cold. But you know what? My son who's 4, he's got booties. He's got a 4.3, and he's like, where's my hood? He's down.
Okay.
So, and he's out there. It's cold. Like he's surfing. He's 4. He's surfing.
Yeah. From experience, and maybe I'll edit this, maybe I won't, but I took my kids and his buddies up here to Morro Bay. It was July for like a Volcom contest. It was freezing cold, foggy. You didn't see the sun. We drove home later on that day because they lost, and it's sunny at 85 on the beach and the water 75 in San Diego. You know what I'm saying? It's 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
Same day. Same day.
Yeah. I'm jealous. It's
2 different
crazy.
worlds.
It
You
is.
know? So it's raw up there, but I mean, the waves are way more or less crowded. Is surfing growing up or blowing up in Central Coast?
I haven't been around long enough to know that, I don't think. I think it'll just regulate itself.
Okay.
It's not like when you're down south and like any like Joe Schmo is going to be like, yeah, dude, like that looks fun. I'm going to go do that. It's like
Right.
you gotta want it, and you kind of have to. Like it took me a couple of years up here just to be like, whoa, dude, are we really doing this right now?
Yeah.
It's heavier.
There's not a lot of surf contests, professional surf contests in California, really. And the 2QS ones are kind of in your backyard. They have the Morro Bay one and they have the Pismo one. It's really where the only contests.
Wow, yeah, it's a trip. Kind of feel bad because like, dude, they got to surf fucking Moro and Pismo. That's where they're going. Oh
That's where
my
they're going.
god, poor
But I think
guys.
slow pushing surfing. The
Really?
county, I'm pretty sure they sponsor it
Whoa,
or something
heavy.
along those lines. But anyhow, I
I
think
think they
it's
scored at the Rock this year, which is surprising.
that place is good though. But so speaking of that, 20 years ago, if you had pulled up to the parking lot of Morro Bay, there was 4 guys out. I pulled up a couple months ago and there was 400 guys out and girls, not just guys, but it's crowded up there
It
too.
gets crowded. Like Morro Bay gets, yeah.
But there's still waves going unridden, so you can get a wave. Is the popularity of surfing helping you sell more boards?
It's got to, I
Yeah.
would think,
Yeah.
So that's like the give and take too. It's like you don't want there to be more crowds. You don't mind if you sell another board or two.
No.
But that goes back to like I want to make boards for people like I don't know.
Who's the normal customer calling you to get a custom?
The normal person calling me to get a custom is probably between like late 20s and like
Okay.
early 40s. Like you're working class guys.
How many guys at the station work with you that surf?
Probably two.
Oh, that's it.
Because the station I'm at is in Atascadero, so we're
Okay.
inland. So they're
But it's
like,
a nice town.
it's a nice town, but those guys are like, look at these surfers, they're more like ranch style guys.
Yeah, but it's only 15 miles from the beach, maybe.
It's great. It is. But it's a different world. You're on the other side of that little mountain range, and
Yeah, it's hot.
it's, dude, it'll be 60 at my house and 104 there.
Yeah, it's gnarly. What about the guys that the local guys up there, like the Nate Tyler and all those other guys? You see those guys out?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, they don't know who I am, or he doesn't know who I am, but like, I mean, I've definitely seen him out and about. I think what he's doing with the sculptures and all the like statue stuff that him and his dad make is so freaking cool. It's like that's like the epitome of what
Up
kind
there
of
is.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, it really is.
It's cool.
Awesome. Would you consider yourself an underground shaper?
Oh yeah.
Let's say the 70s label of underground shaper, kind of working out of his house but
Yeah,
shaping quality shit.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just kind of like a low key underground guy. I'm still new and I'm still earning, but I'm trying.
All right, everybody. This is Mike and Cooper Boneck, and we're out of here. Later.
You go left, I go right. Man, this wave is out of sight. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. Ride this wave to the shore. Paddle out, I'm gonna catch 10 more. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. I don't care if it's wrong or right. I'm gonna do it all day, I'm gonna do it all night. I'm going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. On my way, it's a beautiful day. I'm going surfing, I'm going surfing, going surfing.